Hey, today we're going to talk about three Japanese concepts for contentment and climbing. In the background, we have Waimea, a cliff in Rumney, probably one of the most beautiful pieces of rock in the world. Here is the introduction. So, climbing is about 99% failure, as Alex Honnold says so often. Or maybe it's just one video that repeats itself all the time. Climbing is mostly failure, especially when you're pushing your limits. Because of this, some of us feel like we're performing poorly. Progression starts to feel harder and harder, and quitting can sometimes seem like the best option. The good news, though, is that there's shit we can do about these negative feelings. And today we're going to talk about three concepts to try to help that. Ikigai, wabi-sabi, and kintsugi. Ikigai is purpose. It's what drives you, brings you to the gym. It can be abstract or clear, whatever. Wabi-sabi is the art of accepting imperfection and impermanence. Climbing can be really inconsistent, and so it's kind of a question of fighting it or embracing it. Kintsugi is the art of actually repairing broken pottery with gold. But in climbing, we break, and our egos break, our bodies break, and it's kind of a question of, are you gonna mend it the right way, or are you going to be nice about it? Yeah. So ikigai is the first concept. It's your purpose in climbing and in life. It doesn't have to be the same. You don't need climbing to be your ikigai in life. It's not. Doesn't have to be that. That's not what it means. It's the reason you go to the crag or to the gym, or the reason you love your job, for example, if that's the case. It might be a specific goal, like a project, or something more abstract, like learning or interacting with nature. Identifying your ikigai helps you anchor yourself to your sport and helps you stay disciplined when motivation is low. When motivation is low, maybe you can ask yourself, why do I love climbing, or why did I start? And take your time to answer this so that you can try to define a pretty clear answer, and then you can test it out. So the next time you go climbing, you adapt your session to whatever ikigai you have, and you see if it drives you more, right? And then if that works, maybe try to stick to it for a little while and then see if it works long term. What I mean by that is that ikigai teaches us to trust our process. Even when times are tough, a purpose is more important than instant results. The second concept is wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi teaches us to embrace climbing in the present moment. Sometimes we can feel stagnant or on a plateau, but usually that's more perception than anything else. Life and climbing and us or you, we're all ever changing. We change a bit every day, and life is different a bit every day. We just have a hard time perceiving it. We and everything are impermanent and imperfect, and wabi-sabi is about understanding that without these traits, we couldn't learn and grow. We climb to become better, and if we were perfect and performance was permanent, then what would be the point? Concepts like seizing the moment and competitions wouldn't exist, as the best climber would always be the best. Luckily, that's not how it works. Every day is different. We have bad, okay, and good days, like everybody else. It's a question of wabi-sabi. Now, kintsugi is technically an art of repairing broken pottery with gold. But like I said in the intro, it can be applied to climbing. Maybe not literally, it's written don't fix your quick draws with gold. They're not gonna hold. It's not very funny. Whatever. But our bodies can break, and our egos are usually pretty fragile. So, kintsugi teaches us to maybe react in a different way. And so, instead of spending your time judging yourself and convincing yourself that you're stupid for making a mistake and hurting yourself, or when you hurt yourself, instead of cutting corners and getting back to your training too early and not progressing back correctly, and ultimately just hurting yourself further. Or I guess there's the second option of taking time and being okay, what did I do wrong, and how did I actually injure myself? Is there something I could do different next time to avoid this injury? Did I do too many sessions in in a row? Did I like take time to recover? Whatever. And so one can be, I guess, figuratively described as being like a golden way of healing. Like you use self love and you take your time to recover. And then the other one is just like you wait a bit and then go climbing and hope that it doesn't hurt, and then maybe tape up and hope for the best. And that would be like cheap glue. So yeah, how are you gonna try to heal from injury or like traumatic events, I guess? So those were the three concepts, and I mean they're all fun, but they need to be applied to become like habits, I guess. And so I find it hard to like apply things just on a daily basis. I find it's important to foster a certain mindfulness, to be able to be present enough to apply new concepts to our lives. So basically, like mindfulness is observing a situation without judgment, right? Um, Fostering mindfulness, like I just said, helps you stay aware of how you treat yourself, and it helps you feel better about your climbing. Being mindful also gives you the opportunity to apply these concepts, like I just said, um, to your life. And maybe at that point, they'll become habits. Who am I? I'm Dave.